at the north end of the speedway. The field begins to form up now into the 11 rows of 3. They're looking for 100 yards in between the different rows. One car headed for the pit area, the pace car, now comes off of the racetracks. The field aligns. They'll bring him down very close. We've got a car into the wall, several of them. Right on the start, Kenny Breck, the 17 car of Alfonso Giaffoni into the wall, and that's before the start.
They're down just on the outside of the entrance to turn 4, Paul.
That's long before they even get near the starting line, so the field, obviously, they've displayed yellow at the start-finish line, and this is exactly what we were most concerned with. Stefan Gregoire, Alfonso Giaffoni, and Kenny Breck are those identified as involved.
Paul, a lot of these problems are probably coming from the cold tires. Remember, some of these tires don't work good on cold pavement, and I'll bet they were trying to get the tires warmed up, and that's what causes it.
Well, you remember we have had that problem in the past here. Remember that very, very cool year, Tom Sneva, when the tires just would not heat on the restarts?
Well, we had a lot of problem back there that year. I mean, there was 2 or 3 accidents on the pace lap, and a lot of them throughout the race.
Looks like the whole 5th row is out as a result of the incident coming off of turn 4. The safety equipment is there, and the start of the Indy 500 has now been marred with an accident even before the green flag came out. The 3 drivers involved discuss it standing on the track. We'll be back.
Some of the most admired cars you'll see are owned by the guys who know more about cars than anyone on earth. They're ASC certified master mechanics. And the #1 brand of motor oil these guys use in their own cars and trucks is Valvoline. Makers of Durablend, the leading semi-synthetic for a cleaner engine due to better control of harmful deposits. So use the oil that the mechanics who take care of your car use to take care of theirs. Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline.
Finally, you can drive what you've always dreamed about, the Aurora V8. If this engine can power the Indy race cars, imagine how you'll feel on a test drive. Isn't it time you drove your dream car? For a limited time, you can lease the Aurora for just $3.99 a month. See your Oldsmobile retailer. The Aurora V8, the power behind Indy.
Weekend warriors, prepare for battle.
Nowhere in America will you find more of the best brands for your lawn and garden. Great names like Scotts, Honda, and Toro than at the Home Depot, your power equipment headquarters.
It's allergy season, and you're so congested, you can't even breathe. Why wait for relief? Take the allergy medicine that works faster than any allergy tablet. Afrin Nasal Spray. Afrin works faster.
When you see that 2,000% a year internet growth rate, you want to just jump in. Thing is, the internet can help you gain or lose a lot of customers very quickly. If you disappoint someone, they can tell a few friends or a few thousand. It makes it crucial to work with a computer company that has experience helping people do business on the net. Not to mention the world's fastest servers, like Digital.
Digital, whatever it takes.
Andy faces something he's never faced before. You hid fear. I'm afraid to die. NYPD Blue. ABC Tuesday.
You hit! Well, back in Indianapolis, the race has not yet started. An incident just before the start has taken out the entire 5th row. This is on board with Steve Kinzer, Tom Sneva.
Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to see anything here. Well, oh, it looks like Well, the two cars got together, turned Breck sideways. I still can't tell who ran into Breck, though.
We were looking at a video earlier that doesn't give you very much information, but does show that it appears that Kenny Breck was hit from behind. Marco Greco comes into the pits, and Dennis Vitolo's already in. Jerry Punch?
Well, totally unrelated to what happened on the racetrack, Paul, but a big break for Dennis Vitolo. Apparently a problem with the throttle linkage on the left side of the engine. That is Greg Beck, who owns the car, is on the far right side trying to get that repaired, but certainly somewhat of a break for Vitolo to get this fixed under the caution and get the car back out in the early laps. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Mark Stainbrook was on the radio with the spotters for Alfonso Giafone, and you also heard from your driver. What did he tell you, Mark?
Well, he said a lot of bad words, but apparently Kenny Breck, starting on the outside of him, didn't leave room and pulled down into the groove and ran into him and knocked him into Gregoire and took the whole row out. It's unfortunate. I mean, you know, somebody should have coached Breck a little better on the start, I guess.
All right, Jack?
Well, Gary, as this was all unfolding in the fifth row, the front row got on the radio, namely Ari Leyendijk, and said, what happened? Now, here's what's happened. They've relayed to him what transpired behind him, but they're very concerned because, remember, I alluded to the fact that maybe we would see 6 stops instead of 7. At initial thought, they thought, hey, we can go back on the fuel, be able to conserve fuel. Then they realized that the race has not started. So even though they're not burning a lot of fuel, this will change the fuel windows and dramatically affect the tactics for the rest of this race.
Robbie Groff appears to have a problem. Have no idea what's gone wrong here. He just sits in the middle of the backstretch. Emergency crews going to him. This is all before the green flag wave. We've not started the 500. It's the 6th time in 500 history that an incident has occurred before the start.
Well, a little bit of what happens on these starts is when they're 3 abreast, you're actually running on a lot different place in the racetrack than you normally do during the race. It's a groove that you're not normally in, and probably Breck on the outside of that row thought he was high in the groove, but actually there's not enough room for all 3 cars, and you've got to run in virgin territory when you're on these pace laps.
So one of the rookies, Robbie Groff, already with a problem, and they haven't even started the 5th row. They have major problems. They will not start. This is an incident before the green flag at Indianapolis. We'll be back.
Finally, you can drive what you've always dreamed about, the Aurora V8. If this engine can power the Indy race cars, imagine how you'll feel on a test drive. Isn't it time you drove your dream car? For a limited time, you can lease the Aurora for just $3.99 a month. See your Oldsmobile retailer. The Aurora V8, the power behind Indy.
Hey, Annie.
Hi.
Love the hat.
Oh, I need it. My hair's a disaster. Look at my dandruff. That's easy to take care of with the right shampoo. Here.
With regular shampoo, flakes can keep coming back, but Head & Shoulders helps eliminate dandruff and helps stop flakes before they even start. You may never see flakes again. And your hair?
My hair looks great. Thanks. Don't forget your hat. Who needs it?
Head & Shoulders changes dandruff problems into beautiful hair.
Just how far do you have to go to get a delicious Eggo waffle all to yourself?
Do I have to say Lego?
Eggo waffles, part of a good breakfast.
Can't believe that worked.
Who was that guy?
When you consider the potential for long-term performance, it's easy to see why over 10 million investors put their trust in Fidelity. All aboard. Call 1-800-FIDELITY for more information on Fidelity funds.
Go where you wanna go. Find the road you've never taken. Pushing the boundaries back when you're up to speed. And you wanna break out from the pack. Good year, like eagles fly. Good year, make the road your sky. Serious freedom.
the 81st running of the Indianapolis 500 on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Brought to you by Valvoline Durablend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil. Oldsmobile and your authorized Aurora retailers. Goodyear, #1 in tires. And priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
Back at Indianapolis, the field, not yet started, continues to circle behind the pace car. A lot going on. Sam Schmidt appears to have an engine problem. Jerry Punch?
Oh, we're here in Robbie Groff's pit. Dennis McCormick, who is the car owner, is watching and waiting for his driver to come down pit road. They're trying to get him towed in. And Dennis, if we could ask you right quick, what happened to Robbie?
He was just going down the back straightaway. He said he was in 3rd gear and the motor just quit on him. So we're trying to get him towed in here to get the electronics changed.
All right, they're going to try to get him refired and possibly get him back on the racetrack. Let's go to Jackaroo.
We're waiting to see, Jerry, if Sam Schmidt is going to come onto pit road. They were in radio communication, and the crew is not sure as he comes down pit road what the smoking problem is. Now remember, these engines have experienced oiling problems in the past. This team specifically has been building and rebuilding just 3 or 4 engines. You can see the smoke now. They're saying, kill the engine. This is serious, and it could be terminal for Sam Schmidt. Gary.
Another stop on pit road. Paul Durant was in briefly, just a matter of topping off on fuel as we wait the official start of this race. I think everything else appears to be routine, Paul.
And all of that action before the green flag flies.
Well, a lot of the cars are coming in and topping off the fuel. There was some concern whether they'd be able to go back and start in their original positions, but many of them are coming in topping off. It's going to be interesting to see what the others do before green flag comes.
Of course, the interest in doing that, Tom, is so they can widen out their pit strategy deal. They can get more laps and hope for a yellow flag, pit under yellow as opposed to a green.
So the field will now reform on the next lap. They will, of course, be minus the 5th row. They will also be minus the car of Sam Schmidt. And we'll see who else. The pits are now closed. They did open them for a while, and many people, including Buddy Lazier, came through the pits. Now we've got this situation where we're going to reset the entire start. They were up yesterday, Tom Sneva. They were up for a start today. Disaster hits in turn 4. Now how are they?
Well, I mean, their emotions have got to be up and down, but a lot of the guys have tried to practice the start, maybe even played with traffic, but you know, there's no way you can simulate what they're about to experience in the next few laps. Now, you might, in fact, after all what we've seen already, you might want to move the women and children back a little bit from the TV screen.
There in the starter stand, that's General Ronald R. Fogelman, Chief of Staff of the Air Force. He's the honorary starter today as they celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Air Force. The field on the front stretch, they will go back into rows of 3 alignment. Bobby, as they come off of turn 1 and head for you, what are you thinking?
Well, Paul, I just had to notice when they were coming down for the original start how big a gap there was between the cars. Some of them were being overcautious. They just have realized over history that you must get the race started. But over here, I think they're going to be good this time.
Moving off of 2 down the back stretch. Danny Sullivan, you watched that happen. You've been there any number of times. Psychology at this point.
Well, of course, everybody was a little flat. Now they got pumped up for the race. Then we have another little flat spot with that yellow. Now they're pumping themselves back up, but I think everybody's going to be very cautious because they've seen the mistakes that a couple other drivers have made.
Once again, as they begin to align, Vincenzo Sospori, the blue and white car, scheduled to start on the outside of the front row, has dropped back in behind Tony Stewart. He did that as they approached the line the last time. Apparently he is very respectful of the start of this race and doesn't look like he wants any part of the drag race that Arie Luyendyk and Tony Stewart are about to stage. Remember, Sospiri has never started a rolling start in big cars. Again, the pace car is off. The field now comes down toward the green flag. They are closely bunched. And here we go. The green flag finally out at Indianapolis. Arie Luyendyk jumps into the lead. into second place. The field already strings out. Robbie Buell tries to make a move on Vincenzo Sospiri. Sospiri comes across the front. Sospiri remains in third. Fourth place is Buell.
Actually, once the greens come out, the drivers are really using their head, being pretty conservative and giving each other a lot of room.
Tony Stewart tries to come inside of the pole sitter, Arie Luyendyk. Stewart's going to try to lead this first lap. He does. Tony Stewart has just led the first lap in Indianapolis and become the only driver to lead the opening lap in each of his first two starts.